Live from the Center Right Radio Studios in Tempe, Arizona, the Chips and Salsa Show. Conservative conversation, picoso, not mocoso, with Don Jorge Ortiz and Alicia Lara. George, former California Democrat union man turned legislative GOP chairman.
And Alice, former New Mexico Democrat turned legislative GOP district state committee woman.
Together, they are your Chips and Salsa Show hosts.
Get your guac on now with George Ortiz and Alice Lara. Welcome to the Chips and Salsa Show, and this is Don Jorge El Alacran. As you can see, I don't have my co-host. She's not here today. She's nursing a sore foot, and she'll be here next week. So, with us this week, we have Diane Douglas, Superintendent of Public Education currently, and running for a re-election. And I'll introduce her in 1 minute. We have our Prather Point, which we're going to have right before we go into this break. And I want to thank Brandon Jones, the director and founder of Center Right Radio, and our technical director, Julian Allison, on the board. And we have the music by David Beasley, and the logo with Monica Lara. We always like to give credit where credit is due. Our sponsor is One Truth, one of our sponsors. And we would like to, I can't think of any birthdays this, do you have any birthdays you want to mention, Julian? Nope? Okay. Yes, I don't have any birthdays that I can't think of right now. I'm probably going to mess one up by not thinking of a birthday. We had a very interesting week. Trump was in Russia, and wherever he goes, he gets the Dems attack him from anything, from the food they're serving to anything that comes out of his mouth. So I want to just say he's doing a great job. He went to Russia like any leader of a country would do, and because he didn't give Vladimir Putin the riot act about the elections, they made a big deal about it. But he's a world leader talking to another world leader, and one who has just as many nuclear armaments as we do. And I think he did a great job over there. And the Dems are going crazy. And we just have to keep our eye on the ball, keep our eye on what we're doing. Right now, we have what they call #walkaway, which is, it's a movement that started with Dems turning from Democrat to Republican. And if you listen to Chi-Town earlier today, they had a person talking about that. On our page, I've posted a few of their testimonials, and it's interesting to see. The Dems are talking about a blue wave coming. I think there's going to be a red wave across the nation on this election. People are getting sick and tired of the Democrats and how crazy they're socialists. They want to be socialists. They want to be communists. They want to be open borders. They want to, they want everything. And it's, right now the economy is good. Trump is doing what he says he's going to do. He's trying to close the borders. And, what's happened with the kids, take the kids being taken away, that was happening with Obama, but they weren't talking about it. Now it's a zero policy. If kids come across, if the people can't account who the kids are, they're going to separate them. If they come across illegally, they're going to separate them temporarily until they adjudicate the parents for crossing illegally. If you come to the border, that's handled differently. And so people don't understand. They don't look at the news. They listen to CNN, and they listen to MSNBC, who gets the negative part of the news. And I like to listen to Fox. There's parts of Fox I don't like. Juan Williams, I don't like him, but they give him a chance to talk. They're fair and balanced. And all I can say is the Democrats are imploding. I believe, the last I heard, there may be 20 candidates running in 2020. And they have the likes of Bernie Sanders. He's a known socialist. A couple of socialists that are going to maybe run. They're talking about Hillary running again. I mean, and then, of course, Biden. And Trump says he wished Biden would run because he can handle Biden. I think Trump could handle anybody that runs against him. And it's going to be an interesting election. I hope to go to the convention. We'll find out when it nears the convention. But anyway, their heads are exploding. News is great for the economy. Things are happening that are good, and we just have to keep our eye on the ball. Well, I'm going to let my guest speak for a little while before we go on a break. Julian, how many minutes before we can put the Prager point? How many minutes before we could do the Prather segment? Well, he'll give me a signal. Anyway, my guest is the Superintendent of Public Education, Diane Douglas, and I'd like her to say a few words. She's the current Superintendent of Public Education. She's everybody knows her because she's been on the news. She's been on everywhere. So I'm going to let her give you a little bit of bio and talk about her campaign.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm delighted to be able to share some time with your listeners. As you said, I'm Diane Douglas. I have the honor and privilege of serving Arizona as the Superintendent of Public Instruction. And the reason it is such a privilege to me is because, in my opinion, as a state, we have no greater duty than educating our children. And it's not just to make them worker bees or college applicants. It's about making them successful citizens of our state and of our nation. I've been involved in Arizona education for over 25 years. It began with my own daughter, and I had what I call an epiphany moment in about her second grade year, where I realized how vitally important it is as a parent to be more involved than just the PTA and make sure I really understand how she would get a good education. It's the school, the teachers, the district's job to teach children. It's a parent's responsibility to make sure that their children get the education they need to be successful. Another thing I bring to the department is our number one duty is getting about $10 billion in taxpayer money out to our schools and our districts and our charters. And I have a finance background, so that helps make sure we are good guardians of the taxpayer money in addition to working for a great education for our kids.
Well, what about this Red for Ed? I know that they caused a big stink. They wanted their raise, but to me, it's more of a political group that led it, and a political group that's turned out of it now, because now they're going for a tax bill that they haven't that they're pushing. I think this is the socialist group leading them, but the teachers were following them because, of course, anybody looking at a raise. I used to be a union leader. Oh, we have a 30-second wrap. So we're going to do the wrap, and then we'll come right back.
Okay.
Oh, we're going to go to the Prather. It's going to be the Prather point. And after the Prather point, we'll go into our break, and then we'll come right back. So don't go away. And right now, our Prather point, our secret agent man. So listen to that, and then we'll come right back after the break.
Jeff Prather here, ex-government insider, now living outside the box, speaking truth to power on the Chips and Salsa show with this week's Prather Point. So I have been known for my predictions coming true, and I have a new one to make. So I have exposed a lot of the corruption and hypocrisy through the last couple of administrations with Fast and Furious, Benghazi, Syria, the IRS, NSA, and I've been talking lately about the Trump-Russia investigation. And we have now seen how these supposedly impartial professional officials, Comey, Brennan, McCabe, Strzok, as soon as they are put on the spot or fired, they turn into totally partial amateurs that are extremely biased. So I'm seeing a lot of interesting pieces that point someplace, and that's what intelligence is. Evidence is for court. That's for law enforcement. Intelligence is analyzed information that you use. And it is coming out now that Strzok was, like Valerie Jarrett, raised in Iran, a big, strong Iranian background. I already talked about recently how Brennan was a communist, voted for a communist, lied to Congress about spying on Congress when he ran the CIA. Don't forget that. Comey, of course, has lied, as well as Lynch, Holder, Hillary, all of them. But now we're starting to see this emerging Iran connection, which takes us back to the Benghazi cover-up and the very likely kidnapping of the ambassador. But what we're also seeing is that the 12 Russians that were recently indicted in this struggling Mueller investigation used the same information for that indictment was used to prosecute, remember, the strangely named reality winner that worked for the NSA. So it's old information. And the other thing is, they're now talking about Guccifer. Guccifer was arrested, came from Romania and put away, and they're talking about Guccifer being involved in this. So this does not fit clearly. It looks like the Mueller investigation is covering things up, struggling, and using old evidence and reusing old information to reinvigorate their investigation. More importantly, I believe that they are so down on Trump talking to Putin because it's not what Trump is going to tell Putin. It's what Putin is going to reveal to Trump about what's been going on behind the scenes. Remember Obama, hey, tell Vladimir that after I'm reelected, I will have more flexibility. Remember the uranium deal. Remember all the collusion has really been with the Democratic Party. So that is, I believe, what's going on. And this is very significant. And this is what they have to cover up. So for more Prather, go to jeffreyprather.com, warriorschool.com, bujinkanusa.com, and keep tuned.
That was Jeff Prather, our secret agent man in Washington, and gives us all the updates. He was the Fast and Furious a whistleblower, and we'll come right back after this break, and we'll talk about Superintendent of Public Education, Diane Douglas. So don't go away.
From Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger, from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14,
41, 31, 13.
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the Search Engine and Digital Marketing Race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa Show. This is Jorge. Get my earphones on. This is Jorge El Alacran without my co-host Alice. I miss her so much, but she'll be back next week, and hopefully her foot will be better. And she'll be here. She'll be back. So don't despair. And I see Lisa Gray was listening to us, and also Mr. Chen. And you mentioned the walkaway hashtag walkaway. It's that movement. I'm praying for that movement to get even bigger so that we can actually see Democrats cross over in larger groups. And we have the numbers. I mean, we have a lot of Republicans. We have a lot of Trump followers already. We can always use more with the hashtag walkaway. And these testimonials are so heartening to watch. So go on our page or the Chips and Salsa page, my page, the Chips and Salsa page, or on Facebook page, and watch the hashtag walkaway movement and these testimonials. They speak volumes about what the people are thinking, because they're getting sick and tired of the Democratic Party, sick and tired of the snowflakes, sick and tired of the socialists that are trying to take over this country. I saw pictures today on Facebook of a table for socialists. This is the Communist Party of the United States, socialists, and they were signing people up on that. And I was like, what have we come to? And Democrats are going up there and signing that. The millennials, the ones that are Democrats and don't know any better, because we have millennials that are Republicans, they don't know the history of socialism. They don't know the history of communism. They have to wake up. We are a republic. Yes, a lot of people talk about that we're a democracy.
No, we are not.
We are, in theory, Democrat or democracy, but we are a republic, and they have to study that. And I'm sure my guest, the superintendent of public education, is going to educate us all on this, and she's going to answer some more questions that we have about the Red for Ed movement. Go ahead.
Well, one of my concerns with the Red for Ed movement, and I've advocated for the 3.5 years I've been in office, the number one thing I heard from people as I traveled around Arizona is they wanted their teachers paid better. And I advocated for increased teacher pay with ways to do it. But unfortunately, for whatever reasons, it came down to a strike, which not in my opinion, but legal fact, they broke the law here in Arizona, and it was, we know now, orchestrated by not really their teacher union, but by a couple of young teachers with a socialist bend.
And political aspirations, because it's not they weren't. They're looking at stuff that's happened in California, and they were trying to bring it out here, or they're trying to bring it out here, and they're doing it on the teachers' backs, and that is so sad because the teachers are doing a great job.
The teachers are doing a great job, but really what broke my heart even more is how it hurt our children and families.
Yeah.
And I was accused of threatening our teachers, but I had a duty, I felt, before they walked out to try to warn them what the possible consequences could be. Because I think if you're going to contemplate an illegal action, you should know potentially what may happen to you.
And they were punishing teachers that didn't, not you guys, but the unions were trying to punish some of the teachers that didn't want to walk out, and it was so sad to see because I understand why the teachers did it. Anybody that wants more money, I was a union leader in California, so when you want more money, sometimes you have to go on a strike, but that's not the same when you're working for a school district. That you sign papers that you're not going to walk on. It's a right to work state that you're not going to go on strike, or you lose your tenure or something, or you get disciplined.
Well, it's a violation of their contract.
And the teachers knew that, and so they weren't punished. And now they're trying to pass a bill on the teachers' backs because they went out and they had the teachers sign this, getting teacher signatures and parent signatures to pass a bill to increase our tax. It's ridiculous. The bill is ridiculous. We have to watch it because we're going to be the most taxed state in the union if we don't watch it. If we let them get away with it, California, we'll be another California. We have to watch it. What's your opinion on that?
Well, one of the things I think that we need to look at in Arizona is we have nothing that funds our K-12 system specifically. We heard about it with the lottery. We heard about it with Indian gaming. We heard about it with Prop 301. Unfortunately, with this proposal, the Invest for Ed, we're not talking about everybody helping to support our education system. We're talking about a very small segment of our population supporting it, and those are the people who are the job creators within our society. So we could endanger the 20 by 20 that the governor promised them if we tank our economy through an ill-advised tax plan. One of the things I've heard spoken of, which I think is at least worthy of debate, is many of our western states use an excise tax, and what that does is bring money from outside the state into the state. That, to me, is something that's worthy of discussion.
And what do you feel? Will there ever be a repercussion for the teachers that went on strike, or is it maybe a bill maybe in the future that'll give them a warning that it can't happen again?
Well, two things. First of all, they were not held responsible with their contracts with their governing boards, and that's the people responsible for the contract.
Okay, we're back. That was a hard break that we had to take, and now we're back. And Diane, if you could continue in your what you were talking about.
Well, one of the things I wanted to share with your listeners is the work that we've done to improve the standards for our kids in Arizona. When I ran for office, I ran to get rid of Common Core.
Common Core.
The state board repealed it. We have a release from the copyright, and we have new standards. So now our kids will learn how to read and write cursive. They will learn how to tell time and count money once again. We've gotten rid of obscene literature, stronger phonics, and they'll memorize their math facts. So no more counting on their fingers in the crazy way that they were having kids do that.
That cursive was just, I would want to pull my hair out, my gray hair out, because I grew up in cursive.
Didn't we all, until millennials? So, and now what we're looking at is how do we make our history standards better? How do we make our science standards better? More than I ever heard parents complain about Common Core, I have parents and grandparents endlessly asking me, why do our kids not understand our history? Why don't they understand the Constitution, the Founding Fathers, the Declaration? Well, that's unacceptable to me. If that continues, we'll lose our country.
Exactly. The Constitution, they must learn the Constitution. And how at least to recite the beginning of the Constitution. We had to learn that by verbatim, And,
they need to know what their rights are. One of the takeaways for me from the tragedy in Parkland, Florida, and all the protests afterwards were that these kids do not understand what their rights are under the Constitution, and they don't understand why they have them. Well, I don't want that to continue anymore in Arizona.
And then to argue about the Second Amendment is in the Constitution. That's why they got to know the Constitution.
Absolutely.
And to say, well, we don't need guns anymore. No, read the Constitution.
Understand why the Second Amendment was put into the Bill of Rights.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's some of the exciting stuff we're working on, plus saving money for the taxpayers. We put in a great system that saves the taxpayers about $30 million a year in more accurate student counting. So that's my two goals, great education and save taxpayers money.
And what about your website or a way to people to get a hold of you to donate to your campaign?
That would be...
It takes money to put those signs up. And you
Absolutely.
See the signs are great, and you could have one in your front yard.
Thank you. And my website is DianeDouglas.com. Very simple, very easy. Our hashtag for Twitter is _Diane Douglas, and on Facebook, Diane Douglas SPI.
Yeah, so if you want to ask her questions, just go on that hashtag _Diane Douglas and Twitter her. And
we'll do a video answer for them.
Yeah,
be glad to have your questions.
She's very good about answering your questions. So we're going on another break, and then we're going to bring in our other guests, which is Sandra Dowling and Frank Thorwell. So stay tuned for the show, the Chips and Salsa show. Thank you, Diane Douglas, for coming, and it was great to have her on our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so
privilege is mine.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my two kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14...
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
Okay, ready? Okay, come on down. Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa Show. This is Jorge, Don Jorge, and this is our third segment, and we have with us Sandra Dowling, candidate for Senate, and Frank Thorwell.
United States Congress, Jorge. United States Congress.
United States Congress, I'm sorry. Corrected, thank you. Sandra Dowling and Frank Thorwell helping with the campaign, and a good friend of mine. We left with our past guest was Diane Douglas, and that was a great interview. So now I'd like to introduce Frank Thorwell to introduce Sandra Dowling. And if you would, Frank is a good friend of mine as a member of the Republican Party and officer in the Republican Party. I'll let him explain what he does, and he's in the campaign, running the campaign for Sandra Dowling, helping her with her campaign. So I'll introduce my friend, Frank Thorwell.
Thank you, Jorge. It's always nice to be on your show. You're looking good as usual.
Thank you.
And you always have such a great show, so thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Sandra. I've known Sandra now for some time, and she's an honorable Republican who I think is an outstanding candidate who can turn out the Republican Party in CD8 and not have this small gap we had. I can't believe that the Republican only won by such a small percentage over the Democrat, 2.5%. It's ridiculous, but I know Sandra will take us back to that 21%. So my pleasure to introduce Sandra Dowling.
And we're on Facebook, so that's a camera for Facebook. So
Okay.
Just so you know.
No problem.
So, you want to tell us about your campaign, about your bio?
Sure.
Because I don't have your bio with me. I've read your bio out.
Well, my parents moved to Arizona when I was 3, and I graduated from Cortez High School, went to Washington Elementary School, and then graduated from Cortez High School. Right after the Marine Corps, I graduated in 3 years. So right after I graduated, I joined the United States Marine Corps. And it was one of the most wonderful experiences of my life. Because it taught me a lot of things. It gave me a lot of a sense of pride, a sense of determination, a sense of understanding why and what you do when you believe in something as important as our country and our Constitution. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went back to school on the GI Bill, and I got a bachelor's degree in education from Arizona State University after 2 years at Glendale Community College. And then I became the county school superintendent for Maricopa County, and I served in that role for 20 years, elected 5 different times.
So you had the job that Diane Douglas has?
No, I had the job that after I left, Don Kobe and now Steve Watson is the county superintendent. Diane is the state superintendent. I did something similar, but I was at the county level.
The county level, okay.
Correct. And then I served in that capacity, and during that time I went and got my master's degree in public policy, educational public policy, and I got my doctorate degree in finance. So I'm working with all those school district budgets. There are 58 school districts in Maricopa County. It's the 4th largest county in the United States. It gave me quite an experience in dealing with public policy and finance in both of those areas. And I feel like that was training for what we're facing with our federal deficit and what we're facing with some of the issues related to the next congressional session that's coming up.
You were also in the Republican Party, a precinct committeeman?
I am a precinct committeeman.
A state committeeman?
I was a state committeeman.
And you went to because I know I saw you at the at the convention, the presidential convention.
Right. I was a delegate to the national convention. I was a Trump delegate to the national convention, as a matter of fact, and I was the 3rd highest vote getter in the state overall. But I was the highest Trump vote delegate at that convention. So it was I'd never been there, always been involved in the Republican Party since 1981. It was my very first convention, and it was just absolutely thrilling to be a part of it.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I know that you enjoyed it because we ran across each other many times. Let me see. It says here. This is your what you're going to vote for. It says protect veterans' benefits.
Correct.
Provide immediate. You want to talk a little bit about that? Or?
Well, there's some things that I think are going to be really important, and obviously the service that our veterans have provided this country has been selfless, and it's something that we need to make sure that we take care of them now, as they come back from the war-torn countries that they've had to serve in. The injuries are a lot greater, both emotional and physical, and we need to make sure that our Veterans Administration is up to par. The good news is that with the changes and the implementations that the president has made since he was elected in 2016, I'm hearing from a lot of veterans that the services have improved dramatically over what they were. There's not the long wait times. They've got some access. Now they will have access to private care physicians. Hopefully we can have regional centers set up for them so that they don't have to travel all the way to downtown Phoenix to get their health care, different things like that. I think I did sign the contract with America's Veterans to ensure that those veterans' needs were met, and I can provide that for it. In fact, I think it is on my Facebook page, the contract to America's Veterans, so people can actually review that and see some of the issues that our veterans are facing and some of the things that they want support on. Another important issue, Jorge, is Social Security. And we are facing a major crisis in Social Security in this country, and the next legislative session of Congress is going to deal with it head on, according to our current Speaker, Paul Ryan, who is retiring after years in the United States House of Representatives.
And it says here, pro-life, protect life.
Correct.
So you're pro-life.
I'm definitely a pro-life candidate.
And you support Social Security and Medicare.
Correct.
That means you'll make sure they don't go to that piggy bank and steal money from us.
Well, I have a little piggy bank that I normally take with me when I go out and about, and on the piggy bank we have Social Security on one side, and then we have Medicare on the other side. And what I think is important when you're attacking any kind of a problem, especially in public policy, you have to attack it with the right attitude and with the right premise in place when you to begin with. So I've always asked every group that I've gone to, do you think that Social Security is an entitlement, which is what our current Congress has called it, or do you think it's an earned benefit? And overwhelmingly, the residents in the district, Republican, Democrat, Independents, they all believe that it's an earned benefit. And as an earned benefit, when you begin tackling it, if the next session of Congress does want to take $332 billion from Social Security, that's going to come from your benefits. That's going to reduce what you're getting. That's going to take away the longevity of the program for you. And for many of us, we assume that our children and our grandchildren will never see the benefits of Social Security. But I don't think anybody's realized that we may not see the benefits of Social Security.
That's the Congress's obligation to make sure that they put a lock on there and nobody goes into that. I mean,
the problem with Social Security right now, Jorge, is that we pay into it. But there are people that are getting the benefits of Social Security that have never paid a dime into the Social Security. Wow. There's a difference between being an immigrant and an illegal immigrant and being a political refugee, the 3 different categories. But if you're a political refugee and you've been granted asylum, which more individuals were granted political asylum during the presidency of Barack Obama than any other time, once they step foot on American soil, they automatically qualify for Social Security, and they've never gotten the benefit. They've never paid into the benefit. So they're taking that money And I don't have a problem in helping those people that, are being oppressed in other countries. But we have to put limits on it, number one, and we can't keep going to the Social Security piggy bank to pay for everything.
Can't some of those people can't that program be another type of program than Social Security, the money being given to them?
That's my contention. If you want to go ahead and provide that program, if you have the resources to provide that program, then find a funding source, but don't use Social Security as your funding source for it, because Social Security should be only for those people that have contributed to the earned benefit. Now, the other thing with Social Security is that we need to make sure that the investment, and I was an insurance agent because I was your insurance agent for a long time.
Exactly.
But when you pay your premium for your auto insurance, the insurance company takes that premium and they combine it with all the other premiums that they get, whether it's Farmers or Allstate or Progressive or Geico, any of the rest of them, and then they invest that money in the secondary market. When they get the premium off of that secondary market, they take the money and they put it back into their company in order to promote their company. Right. They don't take that money and put it into a conglomerate, and Farmers doesn't pay for Allstate doesn't pay for Geico doesn't pay. Believe me, those guys, they're all in it to make sure that their company survives. And I think we need to take that same mentality to the table for Social Security. Once we invest that money in the secondary market, which we need to do because that's a great financial strategy, then we need to take that money and put it back into Social Security and Social Security only. We do not need to put it into the general fund. We do not need to put it into a welfare reform program. We do not need to put it into transportation. That money needs to be dedicated strictly for Social Security so that the people that invested in it are the ones who get the benefit.
They got to start thinking like Trump. Business. It's a business. You got that money in there, invest it, make a profit, put it back in there, let the system grow without, like you said, moving that into a general fund or something. Go, oh, well, we made a couple of billion here, let's move it over here. No, that money belongs to Social Security.
Well, we do need to attack the $1 trillion general fund deficit. There is no question about that. But you can't just make one segment of our economy to bear the burden of that. And our senior citizens, I mean, this is supposed to be supplementing their retirement. Exactly. And this is supposed to be giving them the quality of life that they deserve after contributing so much to our country and our nation. Just kind of like the veterans themselves. They've contributed a whole lot. Some of them given their lives. I mean, I was in the United States Marine Corps. I was stationed stateside, but a lot of the individuals that I served with during the Vietnam War, they came back and they really needed a lot of help. And, we need to make that investment in ourselves, and then we need to worry about the rest of the world.
Okay, what do you want to speak about safeguarding our constitutional rights?
Well, when I went in the Marine Corps, I happened to raise my right hand and I took an oath of office to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to defend the state constitution as well as the U.S. Constitution. I did the same thing when I was an elected official. I have given my entire life to making sure that I protect that Constitution. It is the written document, the blueprint that guides us and steers us and gives us the direction that we need in order to make sound decisions, in order to benefit those people that live in this country. And when you take that oath, you can't pick and choose and say, oh, well, let me see, I support the First Amendment. No, I think I'll support the Second Amendment. No, I think I'll support the 26th Amendment. There are 27 amendments to the United States Constitution, and then there's the written document itself. What you need to do is you need to read the words, and you need to follow them, because that's the only thing you can do. You cannot, as an officer that's been sworn to uphold that Constitution, I could not vote for something that Constitution didn't believe in. And
we have a hard break coming. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back with Sandra Darling and Frank Thorwell and the Chips and Salsa Show. So don't go away. Listen to the break, and then we'll come right back.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll
Raccoon
Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
Realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa Show. This is Jorge, Don Jorge, without my co-host Alice. As you can see, I'm sitting in the middle trying to figure out what to do. But Alice will be back next week, and the show will go on. She's nursing a sore foot, plus she's has some family members over from New Mexico. So she has a full schedule, and she will be back next week. With us today, we have Sandra Dowling. She's a candidate for CD8 and for Congress, and she was talking about, I believe, the safeguard and the constitutional rights. You were talking
Correct.
About. Do you want to speak a little bit about the border?
Sure. You know, we're a nation of laws, and those laws do need to be enforced. And it's going to be important that we do several different things in order to enhance our border security. And one of those obviously would be in the areas that it's feasible to build the wall. 80% of the people in the United States believe in building the wall. And right here in Arizona, I think it's almost unanimous everywhere I go. It just seems like everybody understands the importance of building the wall. It is expensive. It's going to cost $25 billion, according to President Trump. That money can be recouped over a 5-year period. I'm still hoping, and on the outside chance, that we can still get Mexico to pay for that wall, because that's what was the original plan, was to have Mexico pay for it. And I think there are ways to get that done financially through the banking system, but you know, those are things that I can discuss with the president after the election. And I think it's just really important that we take a look not only at the border wall, but we also look at visas, because there are many people that come here on a visa, temporary visa, and then they overstay their visa. We need the enforcement. We need the ability to go out and find those people and make sure that they return to the country they came from. And we are a border state, so the misconception is that this is a problem between the United States and Mexico, and really it is not. It's a problem between the United States and the world. We have plenty of people coming from all over the world into the United States, and the political refugees. I know personally of a group of refugees from Nepal and Sri Lanka, 4 different communities, and they came here as with an asylum status, and they're mainstreaming into our country and our society. I just would like to see everyone that wants to be an American, which I understand there are a lot of people in the world that do. I'd like to see them go through the process and do it the correct way.
What about this Complete Highway 11, if you want to just go briefly into that real quick?
Well, Highway 11 is the infrastructure project that is going to be complete highway between Phoenix and Las Vegas, and it is going to be an economic boon from a job status and from an economic status to anybody that is in the West Valley. That highway is scheduled to go in just on the other side of the 303, and it's supposed to be a direct connect and to go all the way through. It's going to be really, really important for us to complete that project. We haven't had the money. In speaking with Congressman Gosar several months ago, I asked him, some of the issues that were related to it, and primarily they were all right around the funding issue and being able to come up with that money. But now that the president has come out in his State of the Union address and said he wants to address infrastructure and he wants to address different types of programs around the country, I'm very hopeful and optimistic that we can recoup some of those funds to Arizona and help with our job status and our growth in the economy.
Could you go into the what the Republican messaging for CD8? I think there was something.
Well, I think in any election, we just went through a special primary and a special general election. We had a special primary in which we had 12 candidates, and it was very divided, and there were a lot of different people on all different sides of the fence. And as much as we all tried to come together in the general election and the special general, it was very difficult for a lot of people to do that. And I think that when you take a look at the election cycle itself, unfortunately, in that special general, Donald Trump fortunately won that district by 21%, but in the special general election, we only won it with a 2.5% margin. And if 4,300 people would have voted with the other candidate, the Democrat candidate, CD8 would have lost the most burgundy district in the country. We call this district burgundy because it is by far has more registered Republicans than anywhere in the United States. To lose a seat like that and to have it be that close is really unfortunate, because you have to take a look and say, well, there must be one of two problems. Either we have the wrong message, which I don't believe we do. Personally, I think that our country is in better shape and going in the right direction more than it has been in the last 20 years, or we have the wrong messenger. And if we have the wrong messenger, but we have a good message, then that means that we need a choice. We need somebody else to come in and deliver the message that we think is so important as a Republican Party and as a community, because there's a lot of Democrats and independents out there who also agree with us and agree with our message. And so this is not something where we're going to make it just strictly Republicans and cloister together. We want to bring everybody who wants to share in that vision of America to the table. And
because I know the Democrats brought in a lot of people, and they try to take it away. Really, I mean, they were taking signs off. That, you're not supposed to mess with the signs. They were taking the signs away, and their commercials were so dynamic with that doctor. And we didn't attack her as being a doctor, because she wasn't a doctor at the time.
Well, you know what, Jorge, that's part of the message, and that's what happens when you take something for granted because you think you're going to win it by double digits. We did not win that seat by double digits. It's up to us right now to go back and capture those Republicans that voted the other side and voted with that blue wave and bring them back to the table. I personally, in getting my signatures, I spoke to over 30,000 people in our district. I mean, in a 3.5-week time period. I was out every single day and going to every major rally that I could. Just in the last few days, I've made over 600 phone calls, just calling people up, reminding them to vote, those kinds of things, and I've done it personally. And the number of people that I hear say to me, anybody but the candidate who won in April, will vote for them. And that means that we've got to bring these Republicans back home again. We've got to give them confidence, not only in the message, but we've got to give them confidence in the messenger. If that is lacking, then one of those two things has to change. And I personally just don't think that the message is off track. So, at this point, we do have an option, and it's nothing personal against the current person that's in the office. It's just saying, if the people don't have confidence in you, which is what elections are about, then let's get somebody else that you do have confidence in that can do what you want done for our nation.
Yeah, because those might be some of the questions we ask her when she comes on our show, or one of her representatives, about what their messages are. I want to go into you want to give them really quick your the ways to get to your campaign,
yeah,
the phone
sure.
numbers and all that?
Sure. The phone number for the campaign is 623-282-1935. That's 623-282-1935. The website address is www.dowlingforcongress.com, and that's all spelled out. So it's DOWLINGFOR Congress.com.
Good. Now we're going to do the Cocotazo Award before we go off the air. Cocotazo Award nominations, not awards, but nominations for the dumbest things that's happened. And I think I have one here for you guys. One is Maxine Waters slaps on her socialist beliefs, which that's a Cocotazo, because I mean she's starting to sound like, well, she's already acting like a socialist, and now she's actually talking about it, and really crazy. Then the Cortez, Ocasio-Cortez, she attacks Israel, then admits she has no idea what she's talking about. That's number 2. That's the lady who won New York. In New York, the socialist, by the way. A lot of socialists in the Democratic Party now. Newspapers run identical letters slamming Trump's SOTUS pick, which means they're all working in cahoots if they're running the same identical letters slamming Trump's pick for the Supreme Court. Number 4, San Francisco Department of Elections issues voter registration forms for non-citizens. Well, they're telling me to wrap it up. The supporters burned the American flag outside the LA office of Maxine Waters. So which one do you guys like for the Cocotazo, the one of the dumbest?
I think they're all pretty high on the list. I think I could vote for any one of them, but I kind of expect the San Francisco Department of Elections to issue voter registration forms for non-citizens.
That's mine as well.
So that's the winner, because that probably would have been mine. People, listen to the Chips and Salsa show every Saturday at 4 p.m. with your hosts, Don Jorge El Alacran and Alice Lara. And we'll be back next week with all kinds of guests. And thank you very much for being on our show,
thank you,
Sandra Dowling. And thank you, Frank Thornhill, my friend.
Mother Nature acting
thank
up.
you, and
Roger Stern, Fox News. The eastern seaboard is bracing for an unusual summer nor'easter later today and tonight, and that's just part of the story. Here is Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth.